Hay un tema el cual muy poca gente habla en internet sobre el mundo de los programadores y es básicamente toda la parte negativa de trabajar como programador, ya que te limita en ciertos aspectos, está mucho tiempo sentado delante de la pantalla y más cosas aún peores que vamos a ver en este vídeo para que veamos realmente qué es ser programador y qué es lo que hace un programador.
Y'all are aspiring software developers or current software developers, so I know you've come across a video titled A Day in the Life of a Software Engineer. YouTube is absolutely plastered with them. Eating, typing, eating, meeting, eating. I don't know why they eat so much, but I've made my fair share of day in the life of a software engineer, even day in the life of a computer science student, and plenty of others have done the same as what I tried to do and showed you the actual day and some of the actual work of a software engineer instead of just what is being done. Just typing is a lot different than the actual work that is getting done as a software engineer. But regardless of what they showed you, every single one had something in common, and that is this. They're all taking place inside at a computer, and that is the first realization I want you to make. As a software engineer, for most of your life, you're going to be inside sitting at a computer.
Que uno de los problemas más grandes o que requiere el ser programador es estar 8 horas sentada enfrente de un computador sin quitar la vista. Y eso la verdad que es bastante fatigante y luego a lo largo de la vida pasa factura porque a nivel de salud es bastante negativo. Y nos va a mostrar cada una de las cosas que hace un programador de software.
And not just the highlight reel. So let's get started. And plenty of the things that I mentioned in this video may be seen as negative or whatever it may be, or it may appear that I'm trying to discourage some individuals from becoming software engineers. No, I'm trying to show you the reality of what it's like to be a software engineer, not just the good things. So if I do focus on things that are a little bit more negative, don't see that the majority of the job is negative. I'm just trying to counteract all of the positive and all of the good things, the highlight reel that people are putting out there, but neglecting to do so for the bad thing. Because you need to understand that in any job, especially this job, there's a give and a take, good and bad. Which brings us to the everlasting question, especially staying on topic when it comes to software engineering YouTubers like myself. I'm not calling anyone out in particular. I am a software engineering computer science YouTuber just like everyone else, and I made the same videos. Because the everlasting question really contradicts how a lot of these people portray their day as being always good, always positive, always fun. But most of these YouTubers who display it like that end up quitting their full-time software engineering job to do YouTube full-time.
Cierto. Es verdad que cuando normalmente hablas de tu vida o de tu trabajo sueles pintarlo muy bonito porque al menos dar una buena imagen de que estás genial en tu trabajo, pero no siempre es color de rosas todo ni te va a salir como tú quieres y posiblemente tengas todos los trabajos muchas épocas de frustración o de no sentirte del todo realizado y encima más si estás queriendo formar un proyecto aparte personal, ya sea YouTube o sea cualquier otro tipo de empresa, va a ser aún más frustrante porque el tiempo se te limita mucho. Si tú tienes que estar 8 horas trabajando y luego aparte llegar a tu casa y seguir trabajando en tu proyecto, es jodido, pero es algo por lo que tienes que pasar y luchar si realmente quieres dejar de trabajar en algún momento de tu vida y dedicarte a un proyecto personal que haya sido de tu propia creación, que yo creo que eso es lo que más autorrealización te va a dar en la vida.
So for me, it wasn't always about what I was doing as long as I could do something that I enjoyed and work for myself. Many of these individuals probably shared the same sentiment. After all, they did start a YouTube channel for a reason. That reason could be because they thought it was fun, because they wanted to help people out, or because they saw it leading to their financial freedom. Whatever it may be, they saw this as being part of their future. But also, because if they truly enjoyed coding, this was a way for them to make a living, but also be able to work on their own projects. Which brings me to one of the biggest points of this video, which I feel like people never talk about. That is, working as a professional software engineer is working for someone else's company, working on someone else's idea. You may love the idea, you may love working on that app, but you never have the final say on what features are implemented or even exactly how it looks or the overall growth of the company and where that app will be in 5 years. For lack of a better term, you're very much a code monkey, being told what to do and how to do it with very little creative freedom. Some creative freedom, but very little. I personally can't work that way, but for some people, that may be their cup of tea. You need that direction, you need that structure. So this may be perfect for you. I know people who thrive on not completing the overall idea or worrying about the overall app, but solving the task at hand. Each individual task is like a new challenge for them, and that is what gets them going in the morning. They know that they get to work on this task, that task, and that task. They don't have to worry about the growth of the company or the growth of the app or the user interface. They are a backend developer, and all they have to worry about are these tasks today, and that's basically it. There really is a luxury in that if you are wired that way, but if you are someone who got into development because you wanted to create your own apps, you wanted to make your ideas a reality, then it gets a little bit dicey there. But to sum it all up, many people get into coding to make their ideas a reality. It starts off as a hobby, but it becomes a job once you make it your job. The old adage says, do what you enjoy and you'll never work a day in your life, but making something your job that you do enjoy will oftentimes take the enjoyment out of it. So what is an actual day in the life of a software engineer? Well, this will vary from company to company, team to team, person to person, but the overall structure is typically the same. You have stand-up about every day. This is when you get together with your team. You talk about what you did since the last stand-up, any roadblocks that you're facing, and what you plan to do next. Now, when you accomplish everything that you set out to do the day before, your confidence is through the roof. You're a genius programmer, and you just want to tell everyone what you did in that stand-up and you love it.
Eso es algo bastante importante remarcar, que es un trabajo súper rutinario, siempre reuniones, siempre resolver tareas, y según qué tipo de persona seas, sí que puede ser bastante negativo, ya que tu cuerpo te pueda pedir salir de ello. Y es por eso que recomienda el crear tu propia empresa, crear tu propia aplicaciones o crear tu propio proyecto, porque al final es algo en lo que vas a trabajar mucho más motivado y con mucha más energía, porque al final el tener un trabajo normal, no dejamos de olvidar que estás trabajando para desarrollar la idea de otra persona y puede concordar mejor o peor contigo, pero nunca va a concordar al 100%. Nunca vas a poder desarrollar algo exactamente como tú lo ves o como tú lo quieres, porque no es tu proyecto, no es tu empresa y simplemente estás trabajando para ello. Por lo que tener algo aparte puede ser la clave de tener lo mejor de ambos mundos.
If you spent the entire previous day working on a 2-hour task and still maybe haven't even figured it out, well, then you just feel bad? Bad? No, bad doesn't really begin to describe it. You begin to maybe get a little bit anxious. You're very stressed out. You feel incompetent because you're the developer being paid to do a particular job and complete this particular task. And it says it was estimated to be completed in 2 hours, and you spent 6 hours doing it the day before and you still haven't even completed it. It's like if you have to present something in front of the entire class that you know you didn't do.
Que sobre todo en el tema de la programación se suele tender a compararse porque es muy fácil. Son tareas. ¿Cuánto has tardado en hacer esa tarea? Una persona puede tardar, como él ha dicho, 2 horas y otra persona tú puedes tirarte 6 horas y todavía no haberla completado. Y eso te suele resultar estresante o te suele dar la sensación de que eres inútil o que no tienes las competencias necesarias, pero al final piensa que es que todo el mundo tiene que empezar por algo. Esa persona que ha hecho la tarea en 2 horas mientras que tú en 6 no la has completado, empezó tardando más de 6 horas para completarla. Por lo que nunca te compares porque cada uno vive su película, cada uno tiene su vida y cada uno tiene una historia y un camino diferente.
But, maybe you're a better programmer than me. Maybe that stuff never happens to you, so you never have to feel that way. I don't know. I can tell you my experiences and mishaps all I want, but at the end of the day, many things cannot be learned from other people's mistakes. Oftentimes, you have to make the mistake, or in this instance, you have to experience that situation in order to understand what it actually feels like. And maybe you thrive in those situations, maybe you hate those situations, but you'll never know until you're in it. It kind of reminds me of an analogy. It's like whenever you're at a restaurant and the waiter hands you your food and they say, hot plate, so they put it on your table, but you got to see just how hot that plate is, so you touch it. Sometimes you got to figure things out for yourself.
Ha dicho algo que bastantes personas pasan por alto y es el hecho de que puede ser que estés en una empresa en la cual tenga una presión extra porque sabes que si no eres capaz de completar esa tarea o resolver ese problema, te vayas a la calle. Y por eso es mucho más estresante y a la hora de intentar resolver el código o ese problema, puede que tengas una presión extra. Como yo lo pensaría es que la empresa realmente no es para ti. Que debes buscar una empresa la cual intente o valore tu trabajo y tu potencial humano. Y sobre todo, yo creo que lo más relevante es una empresa que no simplemente tenga en cuenta el nivel en el que estás ahora, sino el nivel al que puedes llegar. Porque se ha visto muchos casos de personas súper exitosas que tienen grandes empresas y están en lo más alto, que han sido rechazadas por empresas, que han sido rechazadas por personas. Precisamente por eso, porque se tiende a ver qué es lo que eres capaz de hacer ahora y no pensar en cuál es tu potencial a futuro. Porque entre una persona que a lo mejor sepa mucho ahora y se vaya a quedar en ese nivel de aquí a 10 años a una persona que sepa mucho menos, pero que puedas intuir que su crecimiento va a ser increíble y al final va a acabar sabiendo mucho más que la persona que se queda estancada, pues porque es más conformista o porque no invierte en sí mismo o en su conocimiento. Pues yo creo que es mucho mejor coger a la persona que parte de menos nivel teniendo más proyección de futuro. Si cuidas bien a esa persona y creas una buena relación, puede aportar mucho más a la empresa como valor y conocimiento que la otra.
So if you have a 2-hour task, a 3-hour task, and a 1-hour task, you can complete that in one day, but you can't complete another 2-hour task on top of that for the 8 hours a day because you have stand-up, you have meetings, you have breaks. All of that ties into your 8-hour day. So don't go in expecting that you're going to be coding for 8 hours a day. Typically, what your team should expect is around 6. Now, if you've seen my video, How Long I Code a Day, you will see that I'm typically burnt out around 4 hours. So an extra 2 is a lot to handle, but it also depends on the work at hand. I've spent 8-10 hours almost straight. I have to eat and go to the bathroom and stuff, but basically almost straight coding. And when I say coding, that is basically by the definition that I laid out in that video, How Long I Code a Day, and that is including everything from research to actually typing out your code. But that's when I'm working on something simple or fairly straightforward, something that's already been laid out. But when you have to figure out how to code something that has never been done in your language, in your stack, in your context, well, then it makes things quite a bit more difficult.
Eso es cierto. Al final, pero aunque creo que esto sí que se dice más o se sabe más, de hecho, yo lo sabía de antes, y es que no estás programando 8 horas, no estás escribiendo código 8 horas, es imposible. Entre las reuniones, que te pillas un almuerzo, que estás estancado en un problema porque a lo mejor no sabes cómo se hace simplemente y tienes que indagar e investigar cómo resolverlo. Al final se te va muchísimo tiempo y de las 8 horas pues puedes programar 4 o menos, no lo sé. Ahora, cuando empiece a trabajar, os contaré mi mi experiencia y posiblemente pueda responder esta pregunta con mucha más autoridad. Pero es cierto, si vas con la expectativa de que vas a estar programando todo el rato porque es lo que más te apasiona, es un poco duro de ver que no es así la realidad.
I don't mean burnt out and how you've been hearing it a lot lately, but just on that day, more brain power is needed to figure out the logic and to implement it in your language, using your stack and in your exact context. And the more brain power you use, the more drained you get, and you're just tired. I've said this before, how individuals who work hard labor will never understand the mental drain that it takes to do our job, because it's not physically difficult. And the best way I can describe the difference between those 8 to 10 hour coding days and the 4-hour coding days, it's like digging a little hole with a little shovel for 8 hours a day, compared to digging a giant hole with a real shovel. You're still digging, coding, but one is much more taxing. And I've found a fine balance of being able to figure out when I'm at my wit's end for that day. If I'm working on something a little bit more difficult, then maybe I'm in there 3 to 4 hours. Don't need to worry about anything else at hand that needs to be done. I'll save that for another day. But if I want to relax and I want to do a little bit easier work and nothing too mentally draining, then I can do that too, and I can work as long as I want on my own projects. But when you're at work, you're expected to do 6 hours a day, give or take, whatever your company wants you to do. If you have to do more, then the Lord help you. It's like all coding work is treated equally when it's not equal. Some tasks are a lot easier than others, but if you have a lot of difficult tasks to do one day, it's hard to hit 6 hours of coding on difficult tasks. That is one of the downfalls when it comes to working in a professional environment.
Aunque quieras, no puedes tirarte 8 horas programando del tirón, porque a diferencia de otros trabajos, la programación requiere de mucha concentración, de aplicar la lógica, de pensar mucho. Y son tareas difíciles, son tareas que queman mentalmente. No es un trabajo de oficina en la cual puedas automatizar todos los procesos. En la programación no, porque cada tarea es diferente, cada objetivo diario va a ser distinto. Y no vas a poder automatizar procesos. Siempre vas a tener que pasar por cómo coño soluciono yo esto. Y pensar y buscar y tal. Y eso sí es verdad que puede quemar bastante mentalmente y hay que tener cuidado con eso. Por eso la parte positiva de las reuniones o de que puedas hacer paradas, pasea un poco, tómate un café, un agua o un bocadillo para romper, tomarte un respiro y así poder pensar mejor. De hecho, lo que suele pasar es eso. Cuando tú estás estancado en un problema, te viene la solución precisamente cuando dejas de trabajar en el problema y a lo mejor estás con tu amigo en la calle y te acuerdas y te viene un flasazo y sabes cómo solucionarlo. Bastante guapo el vídeo, la verdad que me ha gustado los aspectos que ha tocado y las conclusiones. Si te ha molado el vídeo, no olvides suscribirte y la verdad que me hace mucha ilusión todo el apoyo que estoy recibiendo en el canal. No me lo esperaba, un crecimiento no es sumamente grande, pero es por encima de lo que yo me esperaba. Está muy guay recibir pues ese cariño por parte de vosotros, así que os lo agradezco cada persona que le dais al botón de suscribirse porque a vosotros no os cuesta nada, pero yo realmente lo valoro un montón.